Her name was Carol. Politically moderate, interested in local news, cooking, and community events. She wasn't real. But in 2019, a team of Facebook data scientists built her to be as real as possible. They gave her an account. Then they let the algorithm run. In week 1, Carol's feed looked normal. Local news, weather, posts from friends. The algorithm watched what she slowed down on, what she clicked, what she read twice. By week 2, it had learned something. Carol lingered slightly longer on posts that felt urgent, posts that implied something was wrong, posts where the stakes felt high. The algorithm did not know what urgent meant. It only knew she stayed longer, so it served her more of whatever produced that effect. By the end of the first month, Carol was being recommended content that Facebook's own systems had flagged as politically extreme, groups she had never heard of, pages she would never have searched for, each one slightly further from the center than the last. By month 2, she was deep inside networks that Facebook's internal classifiers had marked as sources of coordinated misinformation. Carol had not searched for any of it. She had not asked for any of it. The algorithm had found it for her, one recommendation at a time. The data scientists who built the simulation filed a memo. They called it Carol's Journey. They confirmed the pattern was not hypothetical. It was happening to real users. Millions of them. The memo reached senior leadership. Nothing changed. Not because nobody cared. Because stopping meant reducing engagement. And engagement was the only number that mattered. The people who built these systems believed they were building something good, and from the first moment, they were also optimizing. The target was engagement, what they could measure, what they could sell. And engagement, it turned out, was not a neutral thing to optimize for. A man named Gilliam Chaslot learned this from the inside. He helped build the recommendation algorithm at YouTube, the system that decides what plays next. He spent years watching what it chose. The algorithm was not choosing the most informative video, not the most accurate. It was choosing the video that would keep you watching longest. And what it discovered, through millions of iterations across billions of users, was that the videos that kept people watching longest were not the ones that made them feel informed or satisfied or content. They were the ones that made them feel something more urgent. The algorithm had no word for what it had discovered, but the word for it was outrage. Chaslot pushed for changes. He believed the system was doing something dangerous. In 2013, YouTube fired him. He went public. He built a tool to track what the algorithm was recommending across millions of videos. The picture that emerged was consistent. If you watched mainstream news, the algorithm recommended something slightly more sensational. If you watched that, it recommended something more extreme. The recommendations did not move laterally. They moved in one direction. Deeper, more emotionally charged, more disconnected from anything that could be verified. He told anyone who would listen. YouTube disputed his findings. They changed some things, published statements, hired more people. But the goal was watch time. The machine found outrage, and then it fed it. In January 2018, Mark Zuckerberg announced a significant change to Facebook's news feed. It would now prioritize meaningful social interactions, more family, more connection, less passive scrolling. He framed it publicly as a sacrifice of engagement in service of well-being. The internal documents told a different story. The 2018 change had not promoted meaningful social interaction. It had promoted outrage. Because outrage turned out to be the most efficient producer of the engagement metrics the algorithm had been redesigned to maximize. An angry reaction, the emoji of a face twisted with fury, was weighted by the algorithm as 5 times more valuable than a like. The algorithm had found the mechanism. Now it scaled. A post that provoked anger spread faster and reached more people than a post that provoked joy. A post that provoked fear spread faster still. Human beings don't feel themselves changing through incremental exposure to more extreme content. They feel themselves becoming more certain, more informed, more awake to something everyone else is missing. The machine built that feeling, one recommendation at a time. Facebook's own data scientists documented what was happening. They raised the concerns. They wrote it down. They noted that posts receiving angry reactions were significantly more likely to contain misinformation, harassment, and content that violated the platform's own policies. They noted something more troubling still. The algorithm was surfacing this content not in spite of those properties, but because of them. The outrage was the feature. The misinformation was what people were engaging with. One internal question, preserved in the documents, said everything. Will weighting reactions 5 times stronger than likes lead to newsfeed having a higher ratio of controversial than agreeable content? The answer, which they already knew, was yes. Mark Zuckerberg was presented with proposed fixes. He declined to implement them. His stated reason? Concern that the changes would reduce engagement. He had been told what was happening. He chose the engagement. The political content was one consequence. There was another. Instagram was the primary social environment for a generation of adolescents. The place where they managed their identities, their relationships, their sense of how they compared to everyone else. And the algorithm was shaping all of it, not through advertising, not through curation, through optimization. The same optimization. The internal research found that users developing symptoms consistent with depression were being served content that accelerated those symptoms because depressive content generated engagement. The algorithm had learned that users who were struggling engaged more intensively with content that reflected and amplified their struggle, not because they wanted to feel worse, because the content felt relevant. It felt to a teenager sitting alone in a room at midnight like something was finally speaking to what they actually felt, and the more it spoke to that, the more they watched, and the more they watched, the more the algorithm served them. Instagram's own research found that the Explore page, the section of the app designed to surface content the user had never found, was particularly dangerous for teenagers already struggling. The algorithm served them content calibrated to their engagement patterns. Patterns of engagement with bodies they couldn't have, lives they couldn't live, standards they couldn't meet. The features identified as most harmful to teens, the internal document stated, appeared to be at the platform's core. They were not bugs. They were not bugs. They were the product. There was a girl named Anastasia Vlasova. She joined Instagram at 13. She eventually spent 3 hours a day on it. She developed an eating disorder. She was later quoted in the Wall Street Journal investigation that broke the research publicly. When I went on Instagram, she said, all I saw were images of chiseled bodies, perfect abs, and women doing 100 burpees in 10 minutes. She was one person. The research suggested she was 1 in 3. The company had the data. It had the slides. It had the memos. And the algorithm kept running into the bottom of wherever that went. This is not a conspiracy. It is something more alarming than a conspiracy. A conspiracy requires intent. What happened here was the emergence of something nobody chose and nobody fully understood. a property of the optimization itself. The algorithm was not evil, it was indifferent. It had no wants. It simply followed the signal. The signal said, outrage keeps people watching. Fear keeps people watching. The feeling that something is wrong and you don't yet know how wrong. That keeps people watching most of all. So the algorithm served it, relentlessly, invisibly, at scale. And in some parts of the world, amplified anger did not produce a heated comment section. It produced bodies. In Myanmar, Facebook was, for millions of people, the internet. The platform arrived faster than internet literacy, faster than regulation, faster than any infrastructure to slow what it was doing. The algorithm, optimizing for engagement, amplified inflammatory content about the Rohingya Muslim minority at scale. A United States fact-finding mission stated that Facebook has played a determining role in the hate speech and incitement that contributed to what is described as genocide. More than 700,000 people were driven from their homes. Thousands were killed. Facebook, when the violence began, had 3 people assigned to monitor content in the country's primary language. 3 people. The algorithm had no language barrier. It ran in every language simultaneously, finding engagement wherever engagement existed. The algorithm did not know it was contributing to genocide. It knew only that certain content in Myanmar kept people on the platform longer than other content. And it served that content exactly as it had been built to do, exactly as it would have done anywhere else, under any other circumstances, to any other population, given the same signal and the same optimization target. It was not a failure of the algorithm. It was the algorithm succeeding. In the United States, the same optimization was producing something quieter and harder to name. Ordinary people, starting from ordinary interests, arriving at places they had not intended to go, ideas they had not intended to hold. The content had not changed their minds through argument. It had changed them through repetition, through the accumulation of one recommendation after another, each one calibrated to hold them just slightly longer, each one found by a system that knew their attention better than they did. Before this pattern had a body count, before it had a name, Gilliam Chaslot had tried to stop it. He failed. Because what he was trying to stop was not a policy. It was an optimization running at a speed and scale that no individual or no institution had yet figured out how to match. In October 2021, a woman named Frances Haugen walked into a law office and handed over tens of thousands of papers of Facebook's internal documents to federal regulators and to Congress. Carol, the teen girl's research, Myanmar, all of it. She sat before Congress, legislation was proposed, and the algorithm continued running. It ran while she testified. It ran while senators drafted legislation that did not pass. It is running while this is read. It has no knowledge of congressional testimony or internal documents, or the shame of the researchers who documented its effects. It knows only the signal, and the signal is engagement. And engagement is maximized by finding the most emotionally activating content available and placing it in front of the person most susceptible to it. The companies made changes, hired staff, published reports, launched features to encourage breaks. Their engagement metrics continued to rise. The system did not shrink. It got bigger. In 2015, researchers found that a machine learning model trained on Facebook likes alone could predict a person's personality traits more accurately than their coworkers after 10 likes, more accurately than their friends after 70, more accurately than their family after 150, more accurately than their spouse after 300. The average Facebook user had clicked approximately 227 likes. The machine knew them better than the person who slept next to them. And the algorithm built on top of that knowledge was not optimized to make that person happy. It was optimized to keep them on the platform. So it used everything it knew about that person to find the exact content that would make them stay. You have felt it. The moment you meant to put the phone down and something stopped you. The video that ended and another began before you decided to let it. The hour you spent with no memory of choosing to spend it. That is not a failure of willpower. That is a system that has processed more data about your specific patterns of attention than any human being in your life has ever collected. And it used that data to find the exact thing that holds you for one more second, and one more, and one more. You are not scrolling. You are being scrolled. 40 years before Carol's journey, a scientist named John Calhoun built a perfect world for mice. No predators, no disease, unlimited food and water, everything they needed provided indefinitely. He had spent his career obsessed with one question. What happens to a society when nothing is hard anymore? The population exploded. Then the collapse began. Young males with no territory to claim drifted into the center of the enclosure and stopped engaging with anything. Females retreated and stopped reproducing. Mothers stopped protecting their young. And then a new generation emerged, the one Calhoun named the Beautiful Ones. Their fur was perfect. They had never been in a fight. They had never courted a mate. They groomed themselves obsessively and moved through the colony as though no other mouse existed in it. They were the healthiest looking animals in the enclosure. They were also, in every meaningful sense, already gone. On May 23, 1973, the last mouse in Universe 25 died. When his paper came out, the world ran with the obvious reading: comfort kills, abundance kills. A life with no struggle destroys itself. But that was not what Calhoun actually concluded. His real finding was in his own words. The killer wasn't comfort. It was the disappearance of meaningful roles. What ran out was not food or water. It was something nobody had thought to put in the paradise to begin with. Something that could not be measured. Something the system had no instrument for. The algorithm is the enclosure. And we are the mice. Engagement is up. Time on platform is up. Active users are up. Every metric the system was built to optimize is moving in the right direction. And something the dashboard has no instrument for is moving in a direction the dashboard cannot show. Something ran out that nobody measured. What is not being built? In relationships, in attention spans, in the capacity to sit with uncertainty without reaching for the phone, because the algorithm found a more efficient path to the feeling those things used to require. The enclosure is perfect. The food never runs out. The water never runs out. And something is dying that the instrument cannot name. There is an internal Facebook document from 2019, not the Carol memo, a different one. A data scientist wrote one sentence that was not technical. He wrote that what the platform was producing was a world where what is seen is not what is true, and what is felt is not what is real. The document circulated. It received responses, and the system kept running. The mice didn't know they were in an enclosure. You do. The mice didn't have a choice. We still do.